Poppy Playtime just got a ton of news from Chapter 3 ARG updates, some massive Chapter 3 news supposedly coming tomorrow, an update on Poppy Playtime coming to console, another new game they are working on, and so much more. Like the video if you're hyped for Chapter 3, but let's just get right into it. So starting off, if you didn't see my last video on the game, the community, myself included, predicted that something extremely important was going to be coming on July 15th of this year. And while there was a ton of hype around this day, nothing actually ended up happening despite the seemingly multiple references to the day specifically, which left a lot of people disappointed because we were expecting some sort of tease, but we will retouch on that later in this video. However, moving on from release dates for now, the developers actually announced that they were partnering with the company Pink Noise, making a post saying, "Exciting news, we've teamed up with Pink Noise to revolutionize game localization. Stay tuned for amazing game experiences across languages and cultures." And basically what this means is that the developers are partnering with this company simply to translate and create captions for Project Playtime and Poppy Playtime, so that way it can appear and be played in multiple languages, which in my opinion is a great idea. However, on the topic of partnerships, we also got a massive Poppy Playtime Monsters and Mortals update as well, as recently the developers of that game basically told us next week we are going to be getting a news update coming for the Poppy Playtime DLC that will likely make Poppy fans very happy. Or in other words, I personally believe this is going to be some sort of release date for their DLC, which at this point has been in development for well over a year, so it's great to finally see it released. I don't personally play Monsters and Mortals, but it might be interesting to go check out. We also got a potentially massive update on Poppy Playtime coming to consoles in the near future. See, on the hiring website LinkedIn, I've covered in videos months ago that the developers actually put up job listings asking for console developers to help move the Poppy Playtime games over to console, which is something they've shown interest in for a while. However, something I found really cool about this is that a few weeks ago, the developers actually made a post on their LinkedIn site saying, "Server console developer needed. We need a strong game console developer to port our hugely successful Poppy Playtime and Project Playtime games to Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch." So this is the actual first official confirmation from the developers that both Poppy Playtime and Project Playtime are currently in development for not just the two main consoles, but also for Nintendo Switch, which would be a lot of fun. But to be honest, I wouldn't expect this at any point really in the near future, because if they are still making job listings on LinkedIn, it probably means that they are in the very early development of this console port, if it has even started yet at all. Moving on, a mini Project Playtime update that I found interesting is that recently a leaker in the game actually found a mechanic unused inside of it labeled as a vent, which has supposedly been in the game for a while now, and when spawning it in on their screen, it shows some sort of prototype hole that players could potentially use as an escape path. Now, it's possible that this leaked mechanic is completely scrapped. However, as more time passes and more game mechanics are added to the title, I wonder if this vent idea could potentially make an appearance, perhaps as a way to teleport across the map so monsters can't just chase you around 24/7, which could sometimes be a little annoying if they're good enough. Another Project Playtime update worth mentioning was that last week the game got itself a hotfix, which mostly fixed some minor bugs you might have experienced. For example, the train call simply not working out of nowhere, along with a ton of physics fixes, which is really good news with how buggy the game can be to play sometimes, especially when it comes to physics and trying to use the grab packs. Plus, the biggest of all, they nerfed Boxy's jump from a 1.5 second cast time to 2.75, nearly a double increase, which was actually apparently a bug. So that's definitely nice to see fixed, since pretty much everybody plays Boxy Boo only in that game. Moving on to what I believe is the most interesting story today, it appears that there's a brand new game by the Poppy Playtime developers coming soon. More specifically, going back to the LinkedIn, the developers recently put up a job listing asking for a senior game designer, with the description saying, "As a senior game designer at Mob, you'll assist in pioneering a new and exciting venture as we work on an original single-player title in the sci-fi comedy action genre. You'll work closely with the game director to create new and innovative game mechanics on a mission to break the norms of media and create a game that you'll be proud of for years to come," along with another senior game programmer listed for the same thing. So yeah, there's a brand new sci-fi comedy game apparently coming from the developers, and supposedly it's already been prepping for development, whatever it is. But now I'm curious, what could this game in question be? Well, unfortunately, it's most likely not Poppy Playtime related, because you'd think they'd mention it in their job description or something. However, we do know that the creators have been planning on making a sci-fi series soon, teased in their office with new characters. There's old job listings from a couple years ago for the same thing, and even a hidden coming soon thing on their Mob Entertainment website. But it seems to appear that this sci-fi series thing could actually be turned into a game, which is really cool if true. But I know that you guys are not here for that, so let's talk about Poppy Playtime Chapter 3, because there's actually a lot to break down here. So like I said, we were expecting something to drop on July 15th, which was last week. However, unfortunately, this didn't end up working out and nothing dropped, but the developers weren't completely silent, as on this day, one dev actually did at the very least confirm to us that something was going to be coming this month or within the next week or so. So that's extremely cool. And in fact, what's even cooler is somebody would make a tweet sharing this Discord message from last week teasing the ARG coming in a couple weeks, saying, "Are you ready and excited for next week?" With the developers actually responding to this, showing these little interested emojis, which if you're new around here is basically them saying that something is happening without directly saying something is happening. And this tweet, like I said, was made at the end of last week, so assuming this is accurate, it would imply that something is dropping this week. More specifically, in earlier videos where I theorized that July 15th was going to give us some news, I also mentioned an even more important date, July 19th, which if you didn't know is a date that we saw hiding in the Chapter 3 ARG teaser released a few weeks ago, saying 7:19 p.m. in the bottom right, hidden as a time, possibly being a tease for the date 7/19. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it deeper, because they gave us that teaser image with no context multiple weeks ago at this point, and so far it's literally been for nothing. So the only thing I can get out of this tease is the 7/19 date, which if you've checked your clocks is actually tomorrow. So while I desperately want to clarify that this is a theory and don't get too overhyped, there's actually a lot to suggest that we could finally be getting some news tomorrow. But if I'm correct, what are they going to be dropping? An ARG? A trailer? The entire Chapter 3? Well, I have 3 theories for what could be showing up here. The first is the ARG. And the reason for this is because, for starters, the date was originally teased on the ARG teaser, and also that previous message the devs replied to on Twitter was actually in reference to the Chapter 3 ARG as well, which could be some potential confirmation that it could be for an ARG. And in fact, if I'm right, somebody in the server was theorizing that this ARG image could actually be teasing a new interactable computer that we will eventually be able to use to explore some hidden files in Chapter 3, to which the developers would actually react with their trademark interested emoji before replying to it with the same emoji, and then replying to the user again with even more of them, which basically confirms to me that this ARG, whenever it drops, is going to be based around this computer system that we will have to explore and solve to reveal Chapter 3, which is going to be an absolute blast if true. But theory number 2 for what could happen on July 19th is a brand new Chapter 3 teaser photo. Since if you didn't know, the developers gave us a ton of Chapter 3 screenshots I broke down in my last video, with the last one being this weird hairy creature, which most people think is the new Chapter 3 main antagonist. And the developers, when revealing this to us, would actually tell us that this was going to be the very first of the 5 Chapter 3 teasers we got last week that was going to be revealed to us in full before anything comes out. So once again, if something comes on July 19th, it could very well be a reveal of whatever this image is, creepily enough. However, the last and probably most disappointing theory is that this could also be for the Monsters and Mortals DLC I was just talking about, since those developers have already said last week that the Poppy DLC was going to get an update this week, and the devs have already been teasing something coming this week. So while it could be extremely disappointing, that's another possibility if anything drops. Hey, just editing this video, and other YouTubers and whatnot have been saying that the developers have confirmed something Chapter 3 related is coming tomorrow, and I did check with some sources to see if this was true or false, and all I'm allowed to say is make sure to subscribe so that way if something does happen tomorrow, you'll make sure to catch it right when it happens. Also, the developers seem to be teasing something happening tomorrow on their Twitter as well, so that could be another clue, but I can't confirm or deny anything. We'll just have to wait for tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Peace out.